Welcome to this episode of Red Lodge the Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Reimer. Backcountry ski lines, ice walls, rock climbing, Red Lodge search and rescue calls. In this episode of Red Lodge the Podcast, we welcome Nick Gaddy, the Executive Director of Beartooth Trails, the Silver Run Freeride Ski Team Head Coach, Backcountry Ski Instructor and Mountain Guide, and a key member of the Red Lodge EMS Search and Rescue Team. In this conversation, Nick talks about a life that has led him into steep lines and frozen waterfalls, along with the quiet discipline behind extreme days and the moments when fun turns serious and rescue training takes over. From coaching local kids to read terrain to guiding visitors safely through the vast and mysterious backcountry, Nick shares the stories and lessons that sit at the edge of adventure and responsibility and reminds you how much heart and preparation live behind each and every legendary day in the mountains. You're listening to Red Lodge, the podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Muesli Teas. Whether you live here or you're just passing through, there's a must-stop shop in downtown Red Lodge, Muesli Teas. Family owned since 1992, Muesli Teas proudly supports our community and local school events. From stylish resort wear to fun souvenirs, you'll find something perfect for both locals and visitors alike. Stop by Muesli Teas right in the heart of downtown Red Lodge. Hey everybody, welcome back to Red Lodge the Podcast. Jason Reimer here with yet another episode live from Red Lodge, Montana. We always try to find these unique guests with amazing stories, and today I think our community is going to be really excited as we welcome Nick Gaddy to our show. Nick, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and Nick, you are currently the executive director of Beartooth Trails. You wear a lot of hats.
I do. I'd say I'm like somebody who has multiple irons and multiple fires. So.
Yeah, when you bring up Nick Gaddy's name, the community, people, their eyes light up. They talk about multiple things. So you're the executive director of Beartooth Trails, Silver Run Freeride team coach.
Yeah, I'm the head coach of the freeride team, and I'm in my 9th season of that. So.
And having a interesting year with the
snow we're getting creative out there. We do our best to make it fun for the kids. It's obviously a challenge on these low snow years, but
I can only imagine.
Time. We're getting better.
As we sat outside in 55-degree weather before we started here today. And then you also work with Beartooth Mountain Guides and Beartooth Powder Guides.
That's correct. Yeah, I work as like an instructor and mountain guide as well. Yeah,
do a lot of winter adventure in the backcountry.
Yep, all year and winter, but winter is my favorite.
So. Yeah, and that's interesting because I think a lot of us are, we like to consider ourselves adventurers, but maybe we're fair weather because we do it in the fall, spring, and winter, and then or summer, and then winter arrives and we shut it down. You're back there experiencing some amazing things while we're all down here
thriving.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Nick, tell us. Okay, so a little bit. Where did you grow up, and how did you end up in Red Lodge?
Yeah, so I grew up outside of Spokane, Washington, and I went to high school in a town called Cheney, Washington, which folks in Montana know because that's where Eastern Washington University
gets my hackles up real quick because I went to the University of Montana.
Big Sky conference rival there. Did not go to Eastern Washington University though. And then I arrived in Red Lodge pretty much due to one person, Austin Hart. We became friends during college, and I went to college at Western Washington University in Bellingham, Washington, and we met there. And he is from Red Lodge and inherited the ownership of Beartooth Mountain Guides, and so we spent a lot of time in the mountains together, recreating and having fun. And when he moved back to kind of take over the ownership of the guide service, I reached out to him about working as a guide because I was interested in that.
Okay, so Austin grew up in Red Lodge?
He grew up in Red Lodge.
And he brought you over here when you guys were in college just to explore?
I actually had never been here before I moved here in June 2013. I came out to work for BMG and came out, and I fell in love.
You've never left outside of adventure?
I went back for one more winter in Salt Lake City, the winter of 2013 and 14, and then came back in June 2014 and have stayed. Do you
remember what time of year it was that you first pulled into Red Lodge, Montana?
I specifically remember it was like mid-June 2013. I want to say it was June. It was like 16th or 17th.
Okay.
Beartooth Basin was in full swing. Austin also was a former owner there, so. It was like the ski season was on, and I think he was having a pizza party in his backyard. So I kind of got to meet a lot of people right away.
Do you remember what your first views of Red Lodge and your first thoughts were? Like, were you like, oh, this is a cool place, or you had to kind of figure it out? Or
well, funnily enough, I feel like my first real strong memory was a really epic thunderstorm. The first morning I was here, I thought I would make some plans to go do something outside, and after breakfast, it really rained. And then the second day I was here, I went to the Beartooth Basin to ski.
Okay.
And I was there very early in the morning on a cold morning after a very warm day, and it was firm, and I fell all the way to the bottom and dislocated my shoulder.
Oh, really?
So,
first day out.
It was my second morning in Red Lodge. And so I spent the first 6 weeks that I lived here in a shoulder sling, and that's how I met most folks who I still am friends with. It was
that's a little bit of a rude welcoming.
Yeah.
I apologize for that.
Yeah, it definitely changed that summer a little bit for me, but I didn't make me love Red Lodge any less. So,
and you've spent countless hours up on top of the Beartooth Pass.
Yeah.
Climbing, recreating, skiing, guiding,
running.
We got to backtrack a little bit because it's still February, so it's still technically a Super Bowl month, Nick. And the Seattle Seahawks, they train in your backyard growing up.
Yeah,
Cheney.
As a kid in Cheney, the Hawks used to train or do their camp in the late summer at Eastern Washington University. So we'd go and watch the Hawks when I was a kid.
So are you a big Seahawks fan?
Oh yeah, lifelong.
So
Hawks,
you diehards call them the Hawks. We call them the Seahawks. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm thrilled. I'll go Hawks. It was a great game. I know that there's people out there disappointed, but how competitive the game was. But it was a dominant defensive performance. And
it was fun to watch.
As Marshawn Lynch said, we got our lick back for getting beat by the Patriots 11 years ago. So.
Oh, that's right. And there's So, okay, well, Nick, one thing that's just fascinates me about your story is that you do so much. You're also, we haven't even mentioned this yet. You also work with Fire Rescue as one of for about 10 or 11 years, you've worked with them. Yeah. And that's brought you some pretty intense moments.
Definitely.
Yeah. In the backcountry.
I do a couple of volunteer things. I also shout out to the chamber board. I'm the treasurer on the chamber board, and I also work with the Red Lodge Skimo Club. But I'd say my longest volunteer commitment in Red Lodge is through, as a search and rescue member. Yeah.
Yeah. So. And we'll talk more about that later in our podcast today. But now the Skimo, is that the group that you guys maintain the Nordic trails or?
No, that's what Beartooth Trails does. Okay. The Skimo group is kind of helps, facilitate uphill travel or kind of works to improve uphill travel at the ski area. So whether that's organized group skins, building community, or we work with the ski area to kind of design and establish some markers for the uphill route. So we got those installed this winter. So it kind of marks the
on
route
the mountain.
for uphill skiers.
So tell us, this is those of you that have been around Red Lodge that are listening. Obviously, this has been a really strange winter. How are you guys maintaining a positive attitude and still getting after it with such limited snow?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask about that because I'm kind of live by the quote of there's no such thing as bad skiing, just bad skiers or bad attitudes. It's a technical sport. You can always improve.
You're not putting wheels on the bottom of your skis at this point.
No, I just enjoy skiing. Obviously I would prefer more snow, but it's so good up there. Shout out Red Lodge Mountain for, keeping it fun, keeping it going. The terrain park crew's done a great job this year too. It's been really fun.
Our middle school students have gone up twice now, and they've come back both days. Man, it's been great.
It's still gonna put a smile on your face.
Yeah, and we're holding out hope. We still all of a sudden could get some storms, and March could be epic.
Yeah, I think actually today is right around halfway point for the season at Red Lodge Mountain. So we know we have plenty of time left for snow to fall. Fingers crossed.
Okay.
We persevered.
So in the winter time, when you're guiding and you're doing things in the backcountry, tell us a little bit, what kind of things are you doing and where are you doing them?
Yeah, I'd say, my primary love is to backcountry ski tour, so to use a method of hiking uphill with skis on your feet and then being able to ski downhill on snow in the backcountry. I do that mostly in Cook City, but I do really enjoy doing it on the Red Lodge side when there's enough snow or later in the springtime.
And the Cook City side's pretty decent right now.
Yeah, Cook City has quite a bit of snow, I think.
But now when you say you're climbing, you're doing it with your skis on, you're not carrying your skis?
Correct, yep. So you use what's called a skin. So it's got adhesive that sticks to the base of your ski, and then it lets you glide one direction, and then when you set your weight on your ski, it grips the snow and allows you to ascend.
Skinning up.
Yep, skinning up. Exactly.
And so that means you got to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, it helps. It helps to ski more.
A little good cardio.
Yeah.
Now, because of that, when you're in the deep backcountry, like around Cook City, obviously, avalanche concerns, dangers. You're also trained, certified in avalanche prep. Is that correct?
Totally. Yeah, I guess technically I have what's called a professional level 1 avalanche certificate. So
yeah. So have you Okay, so tell us, people that are kind of fascinated by that stuff, tell us about avalanche danger in general. Like what when you're out there, what are you looking for? What would concern you? Have you ever seen one in action?
Yeah, I feel like the instructor in me always thinks that of like, you know, in avalanche education, you talk about what's called the avalanche triangle.
Okay.
And so there's like on one side of the triangle, there's weather. On one side of the triangle, there's snowpack. On one side of the triangle is terrain. And then in the center of the triangle is us as humans, right?
Okay.
It's like none of those things are dangerous except for if you introduce a human being to it. So yeah, I think of like kind of like terrain, weather, and snowpack. So you know, the weather is the mother of all avalanches. It is what forms our snowpack, and the snowpack is always changing day to day, hour to hour, week to week. You know, it's never the same.
Yeah.
And so, but you typically can only find avalanches are going to happen on slopes steeper than 30 degrees. So you can avoid avalanche danger, you know, by like selecting terrain that's appropriate for the snowpack or the weather conditions. So.
And you've done it for years. You've back.
Yeah.
And so was there, you know, when you first got into this, okay, so when I hike, I love hiking, but you know, there's a grizzly bear around every corner. Mm-hmm. When you first started this, were you always like concerned about I mean, you're still always, but now you're experienced enough that it doesn't really faze you.
Yeah, I mean, experience is certainly not going to save me, right? You know, like I could make a bad decision tomorrow, and that could be, you know, consequential. But yeah, I mean, I think I was lucky. I had really good mentors when I started out. I really started backcountry skiing when I worked in Salt Lake City. I worked at a ski area. I switched from snowboarding to skiing, and that was my whole intention, was to become a ski tourer.
You switched from snowboarding to skiing. Usually it's the other way around. Usually it's the skiers become snowboarders.
I like consider switching back. You know, boarders have a lot of fun. So yeah, I don't know. I was lucky that I had some friends in Salt Lake that mentored me and kind of showed me around the backcountry. But I also saw firsthand, you know, how dangerous avalanches could be. I can still remember seeing a fatal avalanche from a chairlift at the ski area across the valley. And, you know, I mean, I've had friends that have passed away in avalanches, and you know, it's a dangerous game. So
have you ever seen one triggered, or have you ever been? Yeah,
I've seen avalanches from a distance. I've never been involved in an incident or been with anyone who was caught in an avalanche myself.
Yeah, that's good.
Appropriate knock on wood there, but yeah, it's, you know, it's certainly taken you know, friends and acquaintances from me, and you know, it can.
So how do you tell us, like, how do you build comfort in the winter in difficult terrain? Again, summer is a totally different feel out in the middle of winter than it is summer, or not really? I mean, how would you?
It can be. You know, I would say that the way that you build comfort is just through experience, you know, and really knowledge. You know, I think the more times you do it, you understand that there's a lot of like magic happening out there in the wintertime. And that's like all the more reason to get out there, because winter really is beautiful, and we have a lot of it sometimes in Montana. But, you know, you can also use knowledge and information to help give yourself the best chance of success.
And you probably come across a lot of solace and peace out there. I mean, just some really quiet moments.
There's a lot less people out there in the winter.
Yeah. Do you have a preference? Do you prefer winter to summer?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm a winter person. Yeah,
you're out.
I mean, I enjoy all seasons, you know, but you know, if I could choose one season forever, it would certainly be one that involves snow. I mean,
right. And the skiing and the, now you also do like ice climbing.
Yeah. I also
tell us about the ice climbing.
Yeah. Ice climbing is, it's a kind of a funny sport. I feel like people always ask, you know, like, why do you ice climb? Right. And I kind of always laugh, and I'm like, I don't really know.
We don't know what we're talking about when we're asking, you know, about it, but we are fascinated by it.
Yeah, you know, I think when I first started climbing, I just thought it was like the wildest thing I can imagine. I mean, sometimes just seeing an ice flow is, you know, like seeing your hero or your celebrity in person. They're just incredibly beautiful, and you know, and
the actual
ice, the ice itself. I mean, they're in wild places, nooks and crannies. You know, and I think that there's a lot of adventure to be had there, and you know,
where are the, you know, without giving away your secret spots, where are the hot spots in this area?
Oh gosh, you know, the Beartooth in our area has, you know, incredible amount of climbing. We're kind of sandwiched between two of the better venues in the whole, in, you know, all the United States.
Really?
Like the South Fork of the Shoshone outside of Cody.
Okay.
And then Highlight Canyon south of Bozeman are, you know, world renowned ice climbing venues. But when there's us, like, you know, there's everything from like, the Clark's Fork area all the way through the Beartooth that has incredible climbing.
You guide, you do that. You take
I don't do it as much anymore. I did take someone out in January this year, but
So what is the danger? What do you look? What are you ever worried about? Like the ice just.
Again, yeah, it's like it takes experience, right?
All of a sudden you pound through and the water comes gushing out from behind.
Yeah, that does happen. In fact, I was just doing a search and rescue training on Wednesday at Rock Creek Falls, like a kind of like an annual training we do on ice stuff. And I was like swung a tool in at one point and like pulled it out, and the water was just gushing out. Like you could have filled your water bottle, and it was like
take a quick drink.
Yeah, it was like a drinking fountain.
But that's not uncommon. Not uncommon.
Yeah, I mean when there's like on warm, following warm periods of weather, you can still tell the water's flowing underneath the ice. But ice is really strong, right? I mean, like the tensile strength of ice is like wood. I memean, ice fishermen you can drive a car out onto ice with less than 10 inches of ice.
Are you guys using the same equipment that you do when you rock climb? Are you using carabiners and locking in with
kind of? So you so use what's called an ice screw. So you're using what we call like an ice tool. People maybe it's like similar to like an ice axe or a mountaineer's PLA. So you swing that in with your hands, and then you have crampons on your feet. Yeah. So those are what are attaching your person to the ice. And then you're using what's called an ice screw. So it's kind of like a tubular screw with threads in it.
Okay.
And you screw that into the ice and then clip like a carabiner with a piece of fabric to the rope. And then
just when you get to the top of the ice flow, you call it, you just turn around and come out.
Then we do what's called, you can do a number of methods to descend, but maybe the most mind-blowing one is called like a naked thread or V thread. So you use those ice screws to make like two holes in the ice that look like a V. And then you thread your rope through it and you rappel off of the ice.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty wild. It's kind of
that's like, I'm thinking of those icicles that just come loose all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But hey.
And they do. I mean, ice climbing is like it's a delicate sport. You definitely, the most dangerous part is like taking a fall when you're lead climbing, when you're placing those screws on your way up, because you're pretty likely to have your crampons catch the ice, which can be really bad for your lower body.
What took more training practice to feel? Do you get more comfortable quicker? Rock climbing, ice climbing, both? Are they pretty similar once you learn
I'd say rock climbing is probably a little more intuitive for most folks. Okay. Ice climbing is kind of funny. It's built around like efficiency, like the movement is built around efficiency, but it isn't
ice climbing.
Yeah, it's not intuitive movement. I think a lot of folks, even rock climbers, would struggle with like initially with ice climbing movement, whereas you could like send somebody to a climbing gym for their first time. They're going to figure it out, right? They're going to grip and pull, but like ice climbing movement it can be really, really challenging for newbies. So,
okay. So are you, you love the winter and you're still maybe holding out hope a little bit that winter arrives in Red Lodge.
Oh, yeah.
How late in the year can you really enjoy the backcountry in terms of the winter snow and that stuff? Probably pretty far into the
far in. Yeah. I like to say, like ski the snow on the ground, not the date on the calendar.
Ski the snow on the ground, not the date on the calendar.
Yeah, like skiing is a snow sport, not a winter sport.
That's great.
So, at the Beartooth Pass, you can ski well into the summertime. I think I've had years where probably the last day of skiing I had was like in late July.
Okay, yeah. And do you do the base? What's the basin at the top pretty every year? Do you enjoy being up there?
Totally, yeah. If there's an opportunity, if they're open and the palmas are spinning, I'll probably stop by because it's it's up there. We just call it happiness.
Yeah, happiness. I'm always just so intrigued every time I go up there. I've never done. I've done quite a bit of skiing, but not. I'm a very cautious skier.
Yeah, and I would consider myself a cautious skier as well.
Yeah,
maybe the perception of me is different.
That's how you adventurers are. I probably told this 3 times on this podcast. My brother-in-law, he's a big-time snowmobiler, and back when I was in college, he used to take me snowmobiling, and he'd be like, "Oh, Jason, this is an easy ride," and I always knew that meant like triple black diamond.
Yeah.
So tell me now. You've been. I got to talk about Granite Peak.
Yeah,
because it's in our backyard here.
100%.
And you've been there several times. You probably don't even venture near. You can't even get to the Granite Peak area in the wintertime, though.
That's not true. You actually can.
We got to hear about this.
It's accessible obviously from the east side through like the Rosebuds, but it's most commonly ascended in the winter by going up north of Cook City. And so there's actually ski descents off of the peak that, get skied every year.
Off of Granite?
Yeah, off of Granite Peak. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I've never done them, but there are definitely people out there that are skiing that. Probably more in the springtime, you know, like,
now there's got to be avalanche danger.
Yep.
Pretty serious there too.
Yep.
My sister-in-law and both two sister-in-laws and nephew did Granite Peak last summer.
Cool.
Wanted us to go along. How would you rate Granite Peak to other things you've climbed? I mean, it's pretty easy for you.
I mean, no, it's still it's a hard, tough mountain, you know. I mean, what I think is it's very worthy of being the tallest mountain in the state of Montana. I mean, there could be a number of other mountains where you could walk to the summit, but I think it's really cool that it is so hard to ascend. It was the last of the 50 state high points to be ascended.
Really?
Yeah, so like Denali was ascended before that, or any of the big volcanoes in the Northwest or Mount Whitney. So
it's pretty, a beast.
It's like unique in that way. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's got a lot of high altitude, off trail travel through, boulders and stuff. It's got technical climbing with exposure. It's got atrocious weather.
They camped the night before. They kind of went the long route up to the boulder fields, and they felt, my sister-in-law was like, at the nighttime I couldn't sleep. I felt like boulders were going to come land on us. She's kind of like laugh in the face of danger, and she came back and she goes, that was intense.
Yeah, and to her point, sometimes sometimes that is what's important about these experiences in the mountains, is they are intense, right? That they have a special, they create special memories because of that. I think in the valley, it's often easy to, not have these like kind of experiences that really are meaningful in a lot of ways. And, sometimes you don't really know, how lucky you are, for an experience until it's like a hard one. Sometimes these can be challenges or opportunities to look inward and learn about ourselves.
Have you mentioned Granite Peak was the last high peak to be summited in terms of the 50 states. Have you been to other states and hit some of the top mountains?
I have, mostly just in the West. I guess I've like climbed Gannett Peak in Wyoming and Mount Rainier in Washington and Mount Hood in Oregon. I think that's it for the West. I can't really think.
Now, Gannett Peak in Wyoming.
Yep.
What was that the place last summer that the guy went up solo and he got there late in the evening, really late? I think he called his wife.
Yep, different mountain. Yeah,
different mountain.
So that's Gannett Peak is in the northern Wind River Mountains, and that he was in the Bighorn Mountains. So he was on Cloud Peak, which is the tallest mountain in the Bighorn Mountains. Still it's taller than in Granite Peak. It's a beautiful mountain.
Yeah. Too. So that was tragic because he got to the top, but it took him longer than he had thought. He called his wife, and then he didn't make it down. Yep. What would you say, like when you do those hikes that a lot of people do them, what are the things that you would say you need to be the most careful in terms of preparing, planning, that kind of thing?
I think, preparation is important, and just in building margins of safety, right? It's hard, and I talked about the avalanche triangle, right? And it's like humans are in the middle, and you can understand plans and timing and all these things. It's really hard to understand our own human psychology. We all have a tendency that when we're committed to a goal, we've traveled, we're so close to the summit. Yeah. It's really difficult to turn around when it's late in the day, the weather's bad. Yeah. It's like you want to push through that, and succeed. And so I think sometimes that's like what derails us the most is just our own, our own psychology and our ambition or something going on. But there's a number of reasons, but I'd say most often like poor preparation and, you can't control everything in the mountains, but you can control, like your preparation in your fitness really, be ready for that
and
stuff.
Going solo is a whole different element.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's hard. That situation is really difficult because I feel like he did a lot of things right. And I think, it's hard to decide if he made bad decisions or if he was just unlucky. Yeah. Because luck certainly has some part in the mountains, but going alone. I mean, I do it myself, and I'm not saying that it's, you shouldn't do that. Yeah, just have to play it closer to the chest. Like you have to know that the margin of safety is already smaller. And so you have to kind of, do what you can to keep things safe. So
now have you, what's the worst weather event you've experienced out in the backcountry?
Oh man. I probably would think of something on Granite Peak or Gannett Peak in the Wind Rivers. I mean, I've been shocked by my trekking pole in electrical storms where there was nowhere to run and nowhere to hide and you can't make it stop. And, it was, pretty.
And been in some pretty serious lightning up there.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, where, tent poles were snapping and, you could hear your ice axe buzzing. I mean, I've been on summits where I could hear the.
Okay, now what do you mean you hear your ice hacks?
So
your
like
ice
metal,
hacks
starts
because of the electricity.
Yeah, because the static electricity in the air during electrical storms, and so I mean I can't even tell you.
Is the heart pounding a little bit at that point, or you're calm, cool, and collected? But are you even? Does Nick Gaddy get a little bit?
I mean, I always think of it as probably like a similar feeling, maybe to like what it's like to be shelled by artillery or something. You don't know where it's going to land next.
Right.
It could be you, it could be right over there, and
so if you're up on top of like. What's the plateau going to Granite Peak?
Frozen Death
Plateau. If you're up there and you see a lightning storm moving in, where do you go? Like, what's your strategy?
we like to call it the scared to death plateau.
Yeah,
because there really is nowhere to run or hide. I mean, there are nuances in the terrain up there where you can find camp a little more shelter where you're maybe not the highest thing out there, but you have to be really careful about like where you camp and when you decide to break camp and move. Are you going to be exposed to like getting caught on the plateau? And I've had all of those happen.
You're in the summer, you're checking weather reports, but it's so unpredictable around here. Like my sister-in-law, that's why they went past Mystic Lake the long way, because she lives in Western Montana. So she was like, well, Froze to Death Plateau is where people go, and then she regretted it, wish she had gone that way.
It's there's no easy way to Granite Peak, but I would say that Huckleberry Creek to Avalanche Lake is definitely a little harder. But I've done it quite a few times that way, and I can tell you that when you're like sitting through some big thunderstorm and you're down by the lake, low down,
you feel a little better.
You feel pretty good about your decision, as opposed to when you're on the top of the plateau. Yeah, you're just curled up in the fetal position, hoping that it moves past you quickly. Yeah.
So let's if you're okay with this, let's move to a little bit more serious topic. You've worked with search and rescue for a long time, and I think. Those of us that aren't, we see the stories of a missing hiker or someone who's injured in the backcountry. And I think we're super appreciative and respectful of you guys in action, but maybe I don't think we truly understand the wear and tear that you guys have as search and rescue people. Tell us a little bit about your experience as part of search and rescue.
Yeah, it is, I would say it's one of those things where in the line of duty, you never know what the calls are going to look like, but some calls are easy and most calls are just ones that you drive to the station, walk in the door, and they're like, oh, it's canceled, and you turn around and drive home. Yeah. But occasionally there are some really challenging calls and ones that are difficult for, friends of the victim, the person themselves, the rescuers, the people you're with, it's hard. I mean, it's kind of like a turn phrase to say that the mountains giveth, but they also taketh away. And it's tough sometimes to be there when you see someone who was where it took away,
Yeah. What about someone who's involved in that? What kind of pressure do you feel? So you have a missing hiker, missing person, injured person. And of course you've got the people back home, the family distraught, counting desperately on you to make it happen. Like what kind of psychological mindset do you have when you're out there saying, okay, we've got a situation that's dire straits?
I think maybe let's take a step back, then like the search and rescue world, there's searching and there's rescuing, right? There's people who are injured that need a rescue. There's people who are lost who need the search. And so there's certainly different organizational mindsets. And I think maybe different mindsets for a search and rescue team member as well, both of those. But, searches are really hard. I mean, those are the harder ones where someone is missing because it always seems to kind of distill down to this needle in a haystack. It just never, there's statistics, right? We have a lot of statistical information. Like most missing hikers are found within X amount of miles of their point last seen, and so you start by building the wagon wheel around that point last seen, make sure they're not there. But once you do that, it's it can be really strange. I was involved in a search in Stillwater County last year in August for a missing hiker. We went Carbon County. We went to assist Stillwater County in this search. The guy had been missing for I think 3 nights at that point. Was supposed to go to a lake with a friend. They were hiking together. They separated because they were hiking at different speeds, and the friend never saw the missing hiker again. Spent 2 nights out, didn't see him. Where at this point you're thinking, boy, it's been 3 days. They're probably out of food or water. They didn't have a tent. And then they found him. We searched all day, searched everywhere, helicopters, drones, dog teams, nothing, not even a sign of someone.
Yeah.
And then that night, a Air Force helicopter using what's called FLIR, which is like military infrared, was able to spot him, and he was miles and miles from where
you
like
thought
he was supposed to end up.
Yeah.
I mean, he overshot where he was going by so far that I would have, no one I think would have thought to have looked for him there. Like if it wasn't for infrared technology, he probably
does
could have
that
died.
like when you go out for an entire day and spend 8-10 hours and then have to come back with nothing? I mean, that's got to wear on the search and rescue
tough. Yeah,
team.
I mean, it's just disappointing, right? I mean, I think you always kind of go out into the field thinking, that you're going to find this person, and and that feels really good. But when you don't find them, and I feel like it just makes your mind race in circles. You're always just thinking like, where would they be? Like what you're trying to get into the mind of that missing person, and where would they end up? What would they do? Would they walk down a drainage? Would they do this?
Yeah.
But that one was hard because there was the person missing was the father of a friend of mine who used to live in Billings, and so it's tough to come back and hug him and know that, hope was starting to run out. And, I actually was pretty emotional the next morning when I woke up because I was going to go back out the next day. And so I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I had a text from the Stillwater County Sheriff and said they found him, and I couldn't believe it. So,
I'm sure you go through so many different emotions there. To the listener, if you haven't heard our very first episode of Red Lodge the Podcast, we had Brian's. It's about a book called Trail the Lost, the Pacific Crest Trail. In the history of that trail, there's only been 2 times where hikers have gone missing and they haven't found them. This book, Trail the Lost, is about 3 hikers actually, all within a 3-year span and they've never found them. Like they've searched for years and years and years. But on a personal note, what kind of things are you trained in? Like what kind of really risky rescue things are you personally trained in?
I guess I'd say like probably the riskier ones are like, vertical or like what we call like a high angle rescue. So something involving ropes, pretty technical, but I don't know. It's hard, you go hop across East Rosebud Creek enough times on rocks. It's quite risky as well.
Yeah. Have you done water resques before?
I was involved with like the Rimrock. The Rimrock Lake search this year. And I actually was out the day to support that we found the missing person in September. And we were working with the U.S. Water Rescue Dive Team, which is a nonprofit out of Billings.
Okay.
And so they were the ones in the water. We were there to help with ropes and stuff like that.
But you witnessed that firsthand. So like that Rimrock Lake Bridge, when you look at the pictures, I've never been there. Is it a situation where when you get to it and there's no bridge, you think, oh, I can get across because it's not that far. And it's just tragic.
Totally. I'm a mountain person. Water freaks me out. Okay. I don't like the water. It's just such a weird and powerful force. And I think, it's one of those things in June and July during high water seasons. It's like a waterfall. I've walked in that same spot in October of 2024. You could walk right across on rocks. As casual as you like. Yeah. But,
not in June.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, again, people it's like all human psychology. They think, we're on this backpacking trip we just started.
Yeah. We're going
to persevere. and a lot of people do, right? Like a lot of people got across the first summer after the flood or the next summer after the flood without any issue. But, the wrong time, wrong place, bad luck, these things happen and unfortunately it can kill people.
Yeah. So what are, and then you had a really, really hard experience. One of your close friends on the granite head wall up on top. Was it the granite head wall?
The Gardner head wall.
Gardner head wall was a climber. Again, just kind of unlucky bounce. Like,
I guess, you have to understand climbing is not safe, right? And neither is backcountry skiing. You can never reduce the risk to zero. But it's one of those things you don't wake up expecting, that's the way your day is going to go. I was general manager of the pizza company at the time, and I was at work, and this call came in for initially it was an injured snowboarder, I believe. And I think it actually the first page said Beartooth Basin. So they were talking about Twin Lakes head wall. So, obviously when Tom Kuntz, the fire chief, is your boss, he comes downstairs and says, you should probably go on this. Yeah. And so I left and grabbed my stuff and went to the fire department and met up with some of the members of our ropes team. And we took off and zipped up there. We were behind the initial response team of like our assistant chief and a couple of paramedics. And so we got up there. they were skiing in the process of skiing, and our assistant chief was skiing in, and he got there first and was able to let our team know that the person there was deceased, because that changes our organizational mindset, right? That we don't, we risk a lot to save a lot when it's necessary, but we don't risk something when the outcome is determined.
Right.
So still didn't know it was somebody I knew. I mean, I remember like kind of looking in the parking lot to see if I recognized any vehicles, and I didn't, but there was a lot of people up there at that time. It was Friday afternoon and, July. So there's a lot of folks in the pass. And I remember skiing in with some rescue gear and was making my way to the ledge. And, you never know what you're going to see. You're just trying to, prepare.
You're on ropes at that time.
I was not. No, I was like on steep snow. Okay. But I was using the sharps, as we'd say. So I had like an ice axe and I had crampons on, and and just kind of preparing. And then his partner turned around and said, told me who it was, and I remember honestly thinking just not to vomit, try not to vomit.
They just hit you it's
right. Pretty, and it's kind of one of those things like, there it is. There's not much you can do about it. It's it's really tough, but also you have a job to do. There's a part of you that's there for the purpose of getting this person down safely, returning them to their families, getting the other members out of here safely as well. But it was probably one of the hardest experiences I've ever had, really. I mean, it really was difficult. And
I know, I can't imagine that, honestly. And I think, the community really does appreciate Nick Gaddy and the people like you that do that. We really couldn't, you couldn't do it without that. What keeps you loving the backcountry, loving the adventure, going back despite some of those hard experiences? What keeps you just going back year after year?
I feel like there are a couple of things, like the richness of the experience is something that's really meaningful to me, and being able to share that experience with, people you're close with. There's just nothing like it. I think it is meaningful because something is at stake, I mean, I think that, and I just I've always had a kind of a strong sense of adventure, I mean, I really enjoy adventuring and being outside and moving. And I think that those are the things that keep me coming back, that there's so much joy to be had out there, so much to learn and observe and way to connect with the earth.
And you can go back to the same place and see it from a different perspective and find something new every time, I bet.
Yeah. I mean,
where are some of the most beautiful places if you were to think, okay, absolute scenic, amazing, what comes to mind?
Man,
I know there's a lot, but
there's a lot, and I feel like we're at the Red Lodge the Podcast. I don't want to,
you can, it can be anywhere.
Beartooth,
no, it can be anywhere. No,
for me, I feel like I'll always be a little bit, partial to the Cascades, just because, that's where I learned to, really enjoy the mountains, and same with like the mountains of North Idaho as well. And, they're beautiful, but I don't know, mountains are beautiful. I can't really like quantify them. I really enjoy the Wind River Mountains. I think that they're like pretty special.
I mean, the Beartooths are right up there, but I'll tell you what,
Beartooths are amazing.
One of the places my wife and I hiked way back when we lived in Phoenix for 1 year, there's a little small town on an Indian reservation in Arizona called Chinle, Arizona. And you're out in the middle of just fields that are not that scenic. And then you get to it's called the White Cliff Ruins, and you go into this Canyon de Chelly, one of the most stunning places we've ever been. I'd go back there in a heartbeat. So like, do you enjoy people that are adventurers like you? When you hear national parks, you're like, yeah, I've been there, done that. But do you enjoy national park? What national parks do you think are just great? I mean, there's so many of them.
Yeah, again, North Cascades National Park is the first one that jumps out, in my mind, is just because it's pretty remote. There's not a lot of roads within the park. Which means there's not a lot of like easily accessible spots, but there's a lot of really beautiful mountains, big, beautiful mountains.
Where's one place that you've never been that you're like, I'd love to go there?
I've never been to like Denali, the Alaska Range, Denali National Park. That would be somewhere I'd really love to go.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, Nick. So Red Lodge the Podcast, we ask everyone this question, and we get different answers. But what you've been here 12 years now?
Yeah,
or 13 years.
13 in June. Yeah.
Okay. What makes and I use this word a lot, but it comes from my heart and soul. Red Lodge is magical. The Beartooths are magical. This area is mad. This town, like Red Lodge, for that size, it's just people come here. They want to stay connected. They want to come back. They want to read about it. What to Nick Gaddy makes Red Lodge a unique, magical place?
I think it's probably, I don't know if it's two sides of the same coin, maybe two things in the same, was one. But I feel like to me, it's like both the mountains and the valley. So like the experiences I get to have outside are really, really important to me and what drew me here. But I really think that the community in the valley is like equally meaningful to me, that I have like a good balance of like meaningful experiences with a bunch of different people, whether I'm outside in the mountains or I'm down here in Red Lodge. And I think that, at the end of the day, it's like that community really is important. Yeah,
and you're very involved in the community. You help with the ski swap in November.
We do the ski swap. And
you help with the cross country Nordic ski trails. You're up in you're guiding. You're search and rescue. So obviously a big staple, a big part of our community. You're one of those people that really keeps our community well connected and working. So Nick, I just want to say thank you for coming on the podcast today, and best of luck in your winter adventures coming up. Love hearing about it. Yeah, no kidding. Well, we're due, but we keep saying that. I told people in January when we had this, I'm like, February would all change, and it's February 13th. It has not yet. So
it's almost Valentine's Day, and it's pretty dry out there, but we could all be grumbling and shoveling our driveways in the entire month of April too. So
we
don't give up hope yet.
Most likely. So, hey, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for listening to this episode of Red Lodge the Podcast. Follow Red Lodge the Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. In addition, you can subscribe and listen to our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Find us online at redlodgethepodcast.com. A big thanks to today's sponsor, Moosley Teas, located right here in downtown Red Lodge, Montana. We'll see you next time.